Welcome to Mailbag Monday. Today's openings begin with Moon Lake Dark Ale from Farmery Brewing in Neepawa, Manitoba. They have no tasting notes or anything else on the can. I guess we'll just have to go into this cold. It's a bit hoppier than I expected, but it does have a fairly sweet malt to it, so I'll allow it. First thing in, doesn't appear to have any customs declaration on it, so what do we have in here? Oh! It is a scalpel handle, but it's a larger one for a larger type of blade. Notice the little insert there. This one I ordered because an anonymous donor sent me some scalpel blades for a different size. These ones here, these number 22, which when I looked it up is apparently fitting an R4 size handle, so that should, in theory, go onto there, and it does. So thanks to that anonymous donor for prompting it, now I have an additional scalpel to go along with the various X-Acto style knives that I have in different blades and whatnot. You can never have too many cutting devices, though. Scalpel handle, number 3, number 4, number 7, surgical scalpel handle, stainless steel instruments. I got the number 4. Looks like there's all the other ones that they sell. Cost me an entire $1.85 American or $2.59 Canadian with free shipping. And no other useful information about it. It's silver, it's a blade handle, it could be any one of these. Right, let's carry on. Next thing in, again, something with no customs declaration on it. Let's use the new scalpel to, oh yeah, slices right through it like butter. It is a couple of little gearhead motors. It says that they are between 3 and 12 volts, slow speed full metal gearboxes. N20 is the form factor. So if I remember correctly, Angus from Maker's Muse was using similar ones for his Antweight robots, and that's what inspired me to get these itty bitty little motors. There's a couple of threaded mounting holes there and there. It's a D-shaped shaft, so you can 3D print a wheel or a gear or something to go onto there. And then there is just 2 solder lugs on the back. All right. They really are quite small, 12 millimeters in that dimension, from the end of the shaft to the back of the motor, 32.7. What is that shaft? It is, we'll call it a 3 millimeter shaft. So yeah, they don't take up all that much space at all. Now I'm not going to start doing combat robotics, but having some really tiny torquey geared down motors can always be a useful thing to add to the collection. Mini N20 gear motor, DC 3 to 12 volts, slow speed, full metal gearbox, gear reducer electric, engine, large torque DIY toy robot. Yeah. So I got 2 of the A1 size, which are the 40 RPM. They also have them in 300 RPM, 28 or 60 RPM, but I got these ones because, well, if you look at the prices, I think they were the cheapest ones, and they were the cheapest ones at the time anyway. So the specs are rated for 5 volts, but they're good between 3 and 6. 40 RPM is their spec again, 20 milliamps, no load, and between 24 and 48 RPM depending on the voltage you give them. Okay, that's useful to remember that they are actually intended to be a 5 volt motor, even though this and the bag that it was in says 3 to 12. I think I will make a note to self that they are 5 volts plus or minus 2, and we'll stick to that. Well, so far interesting and useful things. Let's see what this one is. What do we got? A couple of pieces. This one is an ESP32 cam board. We've seen those guys before. Is the other one the same thing? No, it looks different. it is a little USB base plate to go with it. I think, yeah, okay. So that guy will sit on there, right? And that gives an easier programming interface than just running fly leads in and whatnot. So that's cool. And then the camera, which side does it go in? I think it goes in on this side. So it's nothing revolutionary. The ESP32 cam has been around for a while, but I just wanted to get one with the programming base, and this programming base will take a couple of different variants of the ESP32 board. So that, I think that will just make it easier. Rather than messing around with jumper wires and one of these guys to program it, just program it directly. I think that is definitely an improvement. ESP32 CAM MB development board, test backboard, serial port module CH340 type C. So I got the camera and download base for, well, currently it's selling for $16.22 Canadian. It was about $1 less when I bought it. And it did not have shipping on it when I bought it. So as usual, follow the link and then use the keywords to search just to try and find the best price possible. Anyway, no huge surprises. The ESP32 cam has been around for a few years and is probably the cheapest DIY webcam you can build, or security camera, or any kind of just basic small little camera that you need that's IP accessible. You could write your own program for it, but there are programs available online, and I believe it even comes with one built into it, typically anyway, the ones that I've had in the past. But it's just your basic ESP32. It's got the camera on it and a small number of GPIO left to use. And then, of course, this one came with the programming board, standard CH340 on it, no problems there unless you're using an older version of Windows or something, but that's easy to get around as well. And the one thing that I didn't see in others when I was buying this is this one accommodates two different widths of ESP32. And that's the other thing. It can work with other ESP32 boards. It doesn't necessarily have to be the cam, but any of the ones with the small headers. Again, you got two different widths. I guess three technically. You could go across from the inner one to the outer one, and one of them. Anyway, whatever. It just saves messing with jumper wires and stuff, and that's the main reason that I got this set. Right, next thing in. This is something that was sent to my P.O. box from Australia, from South Australia, specifically from Darren. Thank you, sir. It cost him an awful lot to get it here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 $2.40 stamps, and then the $1.10 on top of that. Wow. That's his address there, so I will protect his anonymity while we slice into this thing. What has he sent me? Oh, there's bits falling out. There's lots of bits, and this is something that I was trying to buy from eBay, AliExpress, etc. This is conductive anti-static foam. The entire purpose of this stuff is you plug ICs into it in storage so that they don't get static buildup across their pins. And also in here, he sent this rather chunky 7-segment LED and a bunch of circuit board bits, perf board bits. These are nice ones too. Wow. Oh, that's Vero board type stuff. Okay, there is another one of those. Some header pins. All manner of stuff, man. All right, now they got it a little bit more organized, and I've taken a bit of an inventory. We have 4 of these good-sized 7-segment LEDs. They look like they are about 30 millimeters by 10 millimeters, give or take, according to my grid here. A couple of female header pins, a couple of 90 degrees, and a couple of male header pin strips. Those are always useful for the collection. Half a dozen of these smaller bits of perf board with places to put your power on the end there. Those are always handy prototyping boards, and these ones appear to be plated through holes as well. And they are thicker and heavier than the cheap ones that I normally buy for myself, so that is nice. A couple of red and a couple of black alligators, or I guess crocodile clips, as they would be called in Australia. And then 2 bridge rectifiers. These are 2W10 type. They are in an older style package, or at least the package is less common these days. I'm sure somebody still makes them, but the 2 AC are on the outside pins here, and the 2 DC come out of those 2 pins. And of course, there is this large chunk of anti-static foam. That's probably going to be a lifetime supply for me. Excellent, thank you. And then this nice large piece of Vero board style board. It may even be actual Vero brand. I'm not sure. It doesn't say on it. But the white silkscreen or coating on the back of it makes it look nice and classy, and looks like good stuff. And again, this is thicker and heavier than the normal stuff that I would buy, so I appreciate the gift. Thank you so much, Darren. And I'm convinced that you paid more in postage than you paid for all of this stuff combined. Man, the generosity, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And finally, the last and largest thing in. It says resistance meters on there. Okay. It is an insulation resistance tester from Anying, otherwise known as a megometer. Nice. So at a previous job, we had an old school version of this tool, which had a literal crank generator on the side of it. But essentially, what these do is to generate a really high voltage and then measure resistance across whatever you're testing to, as the name indicates, to test for insulation breakdown at high voltage. So this one includes with it the device itself, a set of test leads with shielded banana jacks, okay, and a set of clips to go on the end, which claim to be rated Cat 3 for 1,000 volts. The test leads themselves claim to be rated Cat 3 as well for 600 volts at 10 amps. Hopefully those ratings are legit, although this guy says that it can deliver up to 2,500 volts, so I may look into getting a better set of leads. Not that I'm going to be using this that often, but I may look into that. And I may also just not touch anything when it's testing. Just push the test button and step back. So obviously it was turned on when I got it, but it needs batteries, I'm guessing, because nothing was happening there. On the side here, we seem to have a DC 12 volt input, which is barrel jack. And it comes with a manual in a couple of different languages by the looks of it. So according to this, at 500 volts, it can test up to 1 mega ohm. At 2,500 volts, it can test up to 5 mega ohms. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do a massive rundown on this right now. I think I'll play with it for a while and then potentially do another video about it, or I will just use it when I need to in the future. Anying M16 megohm resistance tester meter, 2,500 volt insulation, high precision AC/DC voltage ohm tester, display resistance tester. Currently selling for $71.68 Canadian. I paid about $1.50 less than that back when I got this in June. Yeah, I ordered this in June. Wow. Anyway, here is what it says about it. You can pause and read it if you'd like. It can measure up to 50 gigaohms, it says there. That's not what I saw in the manual. Yeah, this is a little bit different than what I was seeing in the manual that actually came with it. So this is correct. 6 1.5 volt batteries needed, but not included. Or I could run it off 12 volts as long as I've got a power supply bigger than 600 milliamps, which I'm pretty pretty sure I do. It automatically discharges. That's a good safety feature, assuming it works. Measuring continuous working time should not exceed 3 hours. I assume it'd probably get pretty toasty generating high voltages out of batteries. That's interesting. Let's wait for it to go back to that part. There we go. So those thread on rather than just slipping on like the cheap ones, that's nice. So for things like this, you would be testing from a phase of the motor to ground to make sure there's no shorts across it. You wouldn't test directly across the coil of the motor. You're testing places where there isn't supposed to be conductivity and giving it, massive voltage just to make sure that you don't have a short to ground that only shows up under operation at high voltage or things like that. And again, you wouldn't do that. This illustration shows testing from one ground point to another. No, you're not going to do that. And you're not going to get 4.6 giga-ohms off of this. I wish these guys knew what they were doing when they were taking the pictures, but whatever. I guess we just have to play with it ourselves at some point in the future. Try not to kill myself doing it, and yeah. And there is the contents of today's Mailbag Monday haul. Wow, wow, wow. I am always surprised at what I ordered, 4 months ago and forgot about. Equally surprised at the generosity of some of my viewers. This is truly humbling when I get packages like this. So thank you, Darren, for the contribution to, quite honestly, some very useful consumables in my shop. Appreciate that. So, things that I got, this ESP32 cam with the little USB programming base, really handy to have, neat little thing to play with, and like I said, just a cheap source of an IP camera. And I got these 2 little DC gear motors. Again, should be handy for any little mechanical projects. As I mentioned, these motors are used in some really tiny combat robots. That's not what I'm going to use them for. Still, they should come in handy should the muse strike me to do something mechanical. And then there is this very inexpensive little but chonky scalpel handle to complement the scalpel blades that I was sent several months ago. And finally, the big guy, this Megger, this insulation tester device, high voltage insulation tester. As I mentioned in a previous job, we used to have a really old school, big black Bakelite analog gauge and a crank on the side of it version of this. We used it for testing components in broadcast transmitters, capacitors, which could be rated at several kilovolts, and things like that, and lightning protection and stuff like that, just to make sure it was good. But I have also seen them used, and I'm probably going to use them myself for testing, like I said, insulation breakdown on mains-powered devices and stuff like that. Should be interesting to play with, and a little scary, because even though it's low current, you want to respect that kind of voltage. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. As always, thanks to the donors like Darren. Thanks to also the people who have joined my YouTube membership and donate there, or who donate on Patreon. Why can't I think? Is this a strong beer? Anyway, thanks to anybody who helps out the channel in any way, including commenting, subscribing, clicking like, all those YouTubery things. I appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you later.